Hey everyone, Zyke and
Christine, hi.
And welcome to episode number 18. And just like we said last time, we didn't get anybody to claim this half ounce of silver. So we did a drawing, and our lucky winner, John Holmes. Go figure. Mm-hmm. John, we'll get this to you. Our subscribers are up again. We've gained like 4 new ones this week. That's awesome. I think when we get to 150 or 200, we'll do it again. Our beer of the week is brought to us by Gregory Bacon. And
let me show this beautiful stuff off.
And it's by Sierra Nevada Brewing Company. It's called Weight. Maybe fly weight, since there's a guy flying, fly fishing. Not really sure.
Is it a 3?
I don't know, weight seems just kind of short, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe it says in the back. It doesn't. Anyway, it's IPA, got 4% alcohol. Of course, it's an IPA. It's all we drink. Here you go, I'll trade you.
Okay.
A lot of background noise. It is blowing probably 30 miles an hour out there at least, gusting to 50. And wintertime came again yesterday, and there's snow on the ground. Not pretty. Let's give it a try.
Yep, it's an IPA.
Tastes very IPA, but it's not bad.
Yeah, it's not as harsh as the other ones we've had.
It's not as strong. 6.
Yeah, 6.
Forgot to go prost.
Gross.
Try again. 6.
Still a 6, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it. It's not a bad beer. Shout out goes to the usual people. Larry Lawson, I understand you're doing better. That's awesome. Can't wait to catch your show again. Hopefully you'll be firing it back up this Thursday. Okay, so on today's episode, I was going to do some field work. We were going to go out and field, but yeah, sure.
Not in this weather.
Hey, you can't do any recording in this wind. It's not so much the cold, it's 50 mile an hour gales that are blowing through here that just tears up everything, your equipment and your audio and everything else. So we're still going to do it though. But we're going to talk a little bit about UFOs and UFO encounters. A lot of people out there have seen weird stuff in the sky. And here's 2 of my stories, and I'll prove it to you because we're going to go out and there's a place where I've consistently seen lights in the sky, and not just me, but a sergeant I used to work with. We made a sport out of it. We would meet up around midnight and just park in this area. You know, it was pretty dark out there, and we'd just get out of our units and sit there and chit-chat and wait for the light show. It was pretty predictable. And this was probably in 2001. And 2 years ago, I went out to the same area, and guess what?
Saw them again?
They're still there. And it kind of reminds me of the Martha lights. Have you heard of the Martha lights? They're in
Are those the ones in Arizona?
Texas.
Texas.
Martha, Texas. And they have a light phenomenon out there that's been going on for, I guess, since the 50s, if I remember right. And the whole town goes out there and sees these anomaly lights, balls of lights off in the distance. And they've had scientists go out there. Nobody can really figure out what it is. They say it's heat lightning, sheet lightning, ball lightning, just balls of energy.
Flares.
But they move as you get closer, they disappear, or they move somewhere else. And that's not the same thing we've been seeing here, but I'm just saying there's weird light stuff out there. So my UFO encounters go way, way back. My first UFO encounter, I was probably 8 years old. I was living in Germany, and me and my friends are playing football. The kind of football with the white ball with the black checker, you know, the real sport. That thing. We're playing it on the backside of our barn. We have a huge barn, and of course everything's grass over there, you know. So I think there was about 6 of us. It was me, my sister, my older sister, and 3 neighborhood kids, and we're all just kicking the ball around. And it's probably mid-afternoon, summertime. And I kicked the ball and I sent it high. It's a high arcing ball. And I'm looking up to see where it's going. And as I'm looking up, directly over the edge, the pitch of our roof, let's say our roof is like this, and I'm looking at it, and I see traveling the length of the barn and off into the distance, your classic UFO shape. It was like a, pie pan turned upside down. The exception was that it looked like it was maybe 10 feet above the barn, and it looked small. It looked standing on the ground looking at the top of my barn and seeing this thing, it looked like it was maybe 10 feet big at the most. It made no sound, it made no smoke, it was weird, because I'm looking at the ball, and this thing is just traveling the length right over the top of our barn and disappears in the distance. When I looked back down, I noticed the guy I was kicking the ball to, who was also following it with his eyes, seeing the exact same thing. And, we immediately get to walk towards each other and like, what the heck was that? And, at first we thought maybe it was a model airplane. Maybe somebody's flying a model airplane, like an RC airplane. But there was absolutely no sound. This thing just shot over the top of the barn, and it was really close. It wasn't far away, making no noise. And my buddy seen it too. I think that was my first encounter with something strange in the sky. And keep in mind, when I say UFO, I don't necessarily mean little gray men with big black eyes. It's just unidentified weird flying stuff in the sky. Well, that definitely rated as one of them. So speed up the clock, as a deputy sheriff. Lots of lights in the skies, like I said a minute ago. Even got calls, people always called in. Not always, but people called in, there's weird light in the sky. And most often we get there, it was gone. So my second good encounter was when I was logging. I used to work for a logging company before I became a police officer, back in the early 80s, like 1982, I think it was. And we worked incredibly long hours. I was a truck, I started out being a cutter, and then I'd start driving trucks, hauling logs. And because of the snow melt, we'd haul them in the middle of the night. You'd want to be out there in the woods when the snow's nice and frozen so the truck don't get stuck. So during that period of the year, we'd go to work at 1 o'clock in the morning. Probably wouldn't get off. You probably work a 16-hour day, 5 days a week. But because we spent so much time driving back and forth, you tend to team up with other drivers and chit-chat back and forth on the CB just to keep each other company, because it was a long drive. So I meet this one driver, and we're heading off towards this area in southwestern New Mexico. And we drive across this, we just entered this area. It's called the St. Augustine Flats. And you're familiar with it as soon as I tell you, because it'll be where a lot of movies were shot. It's called VLA, Very Large Array. There's satellite dishes, those big giant satellite dishes. There's probably 50 of those suckers out there, all tracking at the same time. Like the movie Contact was filmed out there. It's basically a big valley, and there's a giant area of nothing but satellite dishes. So it's probably about 2 in the morning, and we come up into this area, and the road is straight as an arrow, probably for 35 miles. Just a 2-lane road with a little shoulder. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, there is no traffic on that road at all. Very, very seldom do you actually see a car on that road. So we just entered the flats where the road is straight, and I'm chit-chatting with my buddy behind me on the CB about various silly things. When out of the corner of my eye to the right, I see a pretty bright orangey yellow light. It was brighter than usual, and it catches my attention. And I tell my buddy on the CB behind me, I'm like, hey, do you see that light over there? And he goes, yeah, what is that? So we start talking about it, and while we're talking about it, it separates into 2 lights. Suddenly you have one light that goes, whoop, now you have 2. And I'm kind of like, wow, did you see it? I just separated. And you're like, I see it. And you can't really tell if it's moving because it's pitch dark out there. So I said, let's pull over. Let's go check this out. He was kind of hesitant to pull over, and I convinced him, like, if it's really something weird out there, if they want us. I think they got us, whether we were moving or not. So I talked him into it. So we pull over in the shoulder, we turn our trucks off because they're noisy, semi-trucks. And we're standing at the very front of my truck in the pitch dark, and we're watching these lights. And one light's coming directly for us. And because it's pitch dark, you can't tell, how far away it is. Is it a light that's this big, 10 feet away? is it a light the size of a football field 1,000 feet away? You can't tell, judge distance. But the light was making no noise at all. It was coming directly for us, and the other one that had separated was kind of circling around behind us. And we're kind of watching it like, kind of weird. And we're pretty excited about this because, you know, we know it's something strange. There's no sounds of airplanes or anything out there. The light that's coming for us never changed in size, just orangey colored. Came right for us and stopped directly above us. It just stopped. And when it stopped, you couldn't distinguish it between a star, because it's a pretty starry night out there, except for it had a little more of an orange glow. It's the only way we could keep track of it, but it came and stopped right above us. And it stayed there probably for 3-4 minutes. And then it looked like it was moving again. And it came at us from the north, stopped directly above us, and when it started moving again, did a 90-degree and started going to the west. The other one kind of circled around behind us and is coming up behind us. So they're almost chasing each other now. One's in front, one's in back, they, you know, several miles apart. The one that stopped above us, when it started turning west, traveled really slow, and then it just made a yellow streak like a falling star would. You know, just like you see that yellow, it did one of those. It just, boom, right to the west, it was gone. The one that was behind it just kind of flew over us, kept the same speed, passed us, and then started veering off to the north again. Never changed speed. It turned diagonal though. When it turned, it did a 45. It came over us, and then just 45 degrees all the way into the horizon until we couldn't see it anymore. That was pretty weird. And you know, being an aviation buff, I love airplanes. I know a little bit about airplanes. That was not an airplane. Those things, you know, unless it's something we don't know about, unless the military has something they're testing out there that we have no clue over. What made it interesting in preparation for this segment here, I haven't really thought about this story much until I decided I'd do a quick video on this encounter. Well, the St. Augustine Plains out there, everybody's familiar with Roswell and the Roswell UFO crash in 1947. Well, also in 1947, early 1948, a UFO crashed right there in the St. Augustine Plains, which is crazy. Well documented, military went out there, did a cleanup, claimed it was some kind of weather experiment, just like they did with Roswell. I'm not going to go into Roswell because that's a rabbit hole that you can't never get out of. And then while I was researching the story, I came across another story that I was kind of familiar with, but I'd forgotten about. State Police Officer Samora, and man, I can't remember the year now. I want to say early 60s. While on patrol on the east side of the plains, came across a crashed UFO with humanoid bipedal figures standing around it. This guy wasn't crazy, he was a state cop. He went out to investigate and then reported it, and other people came out and they actually found traces of radiation in soil where he said it landed. People blew it off, but you know, they're like, yeah, okay, whatever, you've seen a UFO. Been at work too long. But New Mexico's a crazy place when it comes to UFOs. So that's the story I got for UFOs. So weird stuff in the sky. Keep looking up, people. Most people just do not look up anymore. They look down into their cell phone. They don't look up. Keep your eye on the sky. There's tons of new UFO videos coming out right now. A bunch of sightings by professional people, you know, naval aviators running into these things now. People that are experts in their field, you know, that are seeing things that they can't explain. So keep your eye on the sky. So anyway, some short UFO encounter stories. I have not been abducted that I know of, or have seen any little gray men or anything like that. But there's weird stuff out there. Remember, like and subscribe. Helps us out. Our t-shirts will be coming out hopefully fairly soon. The IDK t-shirt with the alien. Those are cool. So stay tuned, guys. There might be a part 2 to this video where we're actually going to go out and try to capture some lights in the sky. We're going to try to get out in the field, hopefully for a part 2 of this video, and maybe catch some weird lights in the sky so you can see them also. Hope you enjoy episode 18. Thanks, and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.